speaking of Switch and all of its downfalls when it comes to Apex, we got some new details on the Nintendo Switch, which might want to make you, Adam, who is not a Switch owner, hold off until this new Switch, unofficially called the Nintendo Switch Pro,
Okay.
gonna be there's gonna be a new one possibly released at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. This new information on the model that's been improved has been released. It's surfaced around the interweb. The information I have is from IGN. Apparently, they're going to be getting new Samsung 7-inch 720p, which is what they have, the current specs they have right now. OLED screen. Is it OLED or OLED?
Either way.
Either
Interchangeable,
way,
yeah.
whatever. Cool. So they're getting those. The current model is 6.2 inches and it has a liquid crystal display. So apparently, you know how the Nintendo Switch has that black border around it. The 7-inch screen is getting rid of that black border, and it's going to be the whole Switch is going to be a screen.
Ooh, that's tight.
apparently-
It's turning into an iPhone essentially.
Essentially, right?
Yeah, because they
that's-
can't
and
really,
that's-
they
go
can't really
ahead.
change the body shape too much because then you have to introduce new sizing for the controllers, and then at that point you're just making a brand new system. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's about it. I think with a mock-up I saw that was like a fan made thing. That was about the max you could get to and still be able to case the thing in a semi-child proof way. You know,
Semi-child proof.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty with trying to get a case for it. With my kids, I'm super cautious whenever they take it off the dock. Like, dude, be very careful with that. Like, hold it with two hands, because if not, that thing will fall and shatter into a million pieces.
No.
And the Switch is a very sensitive item for like the allure it has to younger children basically. Like it's a very fragile console. Like it's going to be easily scratched. The Joy-Cons, if you're too aggressive taking them out, they'll get loosened. So I find it interesting.
You get the drift.
The drift, yeah.
Yeah, and so hopefully they'll fix some of the hardware issues as well. I'm hoping that it's not just a better screen and a better resolution. It says that the ability to output 4K ultra high definition graphics will be now available while in docked mode. So I feel like it's just a matter of time for them to step up their graphics content, because the newer games that have been coming out that have more of that demand on their graphics are starting to show the flaws in having that old tech, and that Nintendo is not moving to that next gen, but their games are. So I think the biggest one that was affecting, and the one that I play, is Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. You play it and you're in the middle of combat and enemies just appear. You see them come from transparency into now they're opaque, and you're like, wait, where were you guys? Like, I was just attacking enemies, and I turn around and this horde of enemies just spawn there. I mean, they were always supposed to be there. Grass, it'll kind of vanish and then it's there, which is not characteristic of Zelda games. Breath of the Wild, the frame rates didn't really dip much. Like it held very well.
It did for the most part.
games-
There were some areas where I did experience frame drops when there's areas with a lot of foliage. So like if you were in a vast forest, like there's a place, I think by what the Master Sword location is, that area there's
the Lost Woods.
yeah, there's a lot of frame drops there, and I did notice that. But overall, even though it's visually there's so many aesthetics, it does very well.
Yeah, it does, but there's going to be more demand on newer games coming out. And speaking about, well, we're going to be talking about Pokemon Arceus that's going to be released next year. A lot of people are speculating that it's going to be kind of around the same time, or possibly even the launch game for this new and improved Switch Pro. Or, as somebody else has said it, Super Nintendo Switch, which would be a play on the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It'd be going full circle. I'm on board for that rather than the Switch Pro. But I don't think it'll be a new system. It seems like it's just going to be kind of like how the Xbox had the Xbox One, and then it had the Series S, and it kind of just started to grow. It was still the same game, and you could still play older games and newer games in that same console, but it did improve the quality of their ability to process more demanding games. So I don't know. I just want to know what your guys' thoughts are, what you guys' hopes are for the possibility of a new Switch Pro. When do you guys think it'll come out? You think it'll be out in time for the holiday season, or will it be something that we release next year?
I think upgrading the Switch is inevitable. You know what I mean? They upgrade they upgrade the consoles at all times, and especially with this being in the same vein as a handheld device, they're going to upgrade the screen. They're going to upgrade the resolution. They're going to upgrade the size of the screen, because at the end of the day, everybody wants a huge screen. That's what iPhone's doing. They literally have lost the borders of iPhone, and now the entire front is just the screen. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if Switch does not the similar thing, but in the same vein, where where the Joy-Cons come off is all screen. So the biggest screen that you can have. We still got a year to go. This year's flying by, but it's still a year. So in time for the holidays, I would not be surprised. That's my 2 cents.
It seems to make the most sense to me as well, as if they were gonna, if it is a real thing and all the rumors are true, that holidays would make the most sense for them to be able to push something out. And I know they haven't made any big announcements, and they've kind of in fact made it sound like they're pushing it off a little bit further. But while Pokemon would be a big draw, I genuinely think that if this is true, that Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be the game that launches with it. I mean, that was the game that sold the system in the first place.
Absolutely.
That if they were gonna jump onto how to improve that, how can we showcase that this is all the more reason to jump into the thing that took the industry's breath away 4 or 5 years ago. It's going to be doing it in 4K and doing it with a little bit more power behind it, and you're gonna have to have a system seller, especially if it's not going to be a full next iteration. If we're not getting a Switch 2, and everything still has to be backwards compatible per se, like everything's only going to be upgraded by the Switch Pro, but not necessarily exclusive to the Switch Pro, then they're going to want to be able to have something that puts their best foot forward visually when they start marketing this stuff out there. So you're going to start seeing footage, I assume, by the end of the year of games that are going to see shown performance on Switch Pro, or whatever it ends up being called. The same way that as soon as PlayStation put out the PS4 Pro, everything was only shown on the PS4 Pro. No matter, even though the install base can't be abandoned, the Switch is almost Nintendo's best-selling system of all time at this point. It's on track to be the Nintendo's best-selling system of all time. I mean, it's actually started to, I'm pretty sure it dethroned the PlayStation in Japan, and it's
absolutely.
And it's starting to kind of be the only big console in Japan right now.
I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
Well, it came out of Japan, but everyone. I have my mother-in-law went to Japan, and I mean everyone has one on a subway. Everyone has a Nintendo Switch in their hands.
I was so bummed. I just went to Washington a few weeks ago, and I was so bummed I didn't have a Switch on the plane. There was a dude like a few rows ahead of me who had a Switch, and I was like, bro, can I borrow that? Like, just for a little bit? Come on.
You should just have one.
It's a girl man, but he goes, hey, no, get your own.
Yeah.
But they have the Switch Lite too, which, I mean, has a exponentially smaller screen too, even that of the Nintendo Switch. You can't take the Joy-Cons off. There are limitations to it, but if it's $200 for that, $300 for the Nintendo Switch console that can be docked and taken off. But now with this Switch Pro possibly coming out, that'll either be more expensive or it might drop the price on the original Switch.
Yeah, when quarantine first started, I had actually bought one, and so I'm not out of the world of Switch completely. I played like a little bit of Breath of the Wild, had a great time doing it. I was at that elephant part, if you guys know where I'm talking about.
Yes, it was great. The Zora domain, that was like my favorite area.
That's where I ended, because the girl took the Switch with her. We broke up. Damn it.
My heart breaks for you.
Yeah, so I'm bummed about it, but it's all right. So I wish I still had one just for the portability of a video game,
That sold a lot of games for me already. Like my library on the Switch is huge, and there's games that I've held off on knowing that I could have the extra hunt of like trophies or achievements on another console, or knowing that I could make it look better on another console solely so I could lay in bed and play it.
Oh, yeah.
I purchased on Switch just for that.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. For me, it was Zelda. Like just having another Zelda game. I still have Super Mario Odyssey, and I have not. I don't think I've touched it. My kids have played it, but I'm like, I want to finish Zelda, but I will play Mario Odyssey. It looks great.
You don't sleep on that. That is that I without trying to be hyperbolic and only sing the praises of what's new, that is the best Mario game.
I have heard, and that's why I don't want to rush into playing it. I want to fully enjoy it without having Zelda looming over my shoulder like, come back to me. I want to have completed it and all the DLC that comes with it, and then fully immerse myself in Mario Odyssey, because I've also heard that's a game that you want to spend a lot of time in, complete everything and try everything, and just get every hat and outfit you can put on Mario while exploring the sandbox that is that game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good stuff. I'm excited.